Okay, so we're checking out another new micro FPV camera here from FXT. This is the Mars S. It's micro size, it's 19 by 19 millimeters, but it's got a little different case here, and I'll show you some differences between this case and say like the one this camera is based on, the Predator. Essentially the back is a little bit different, it just looks a lot bigger but really isn't. This one comes with a 2.1 millimeter lens. It's an M8 lens. You notice here the screw holes, there's two of them on the side here instead of one in the center. I'll show you that here in a little bit. But let's just get all the technical stuff out of the way first. Of course, all the stuff you get, your wiring loom for the 5-pin connector in the back here, 4.8 to 36 volt input range, ground video, OSD input and power. And the power is for the voltage sensor, and that's going to be on this 5-pin connector here. So here's the 5-pin connector, and the voltage sensor line is that white line right there. This here goes to the OSD joystick, and this would be soldered to your LiPo voltage. And that's if you happen to be using the on-screen display. I'll show you that here in a second. You also get mounting screws and washers and such. You get the joystick controller, and this looks very familiar. I'll show you why. And of course you get a mounting bracket. I don't think I've been using these. I have a bunch of these lying around. And let's just go over the specs real quick. The model name is actually called the T71. Not sure the numbers really mean anything. CMOS sensor. It's got a pretty low light rating here, so it should do pretty well in low light. 0.0001 lux, 1000 TV lines. It's a 4:3 sensor. The lens is a 2.1 millimeter lens, and the field of view diagonally is 160 degrees. So my camera is an NTSC version. A PAL version is also available, and you can do preset scenes here. There's only 3 of them right now: outdoor, indoor, and light. Okay, so now just for comparison, this is the Foxeer Predator. It's also a 19 by 19 micro camera. You can see it's got basically the same 5-pin output. And it's the same size connector as well. You'll see that I'm actually using the Foxeer cable to control this, and actually everything works. Now it looks like the FX case is bigger, but if you kind of line up the cameras like so, where the screw holes are, the lenses protrude about the same, and basically the difference is in the back here. So this case extends all the way out instead of the case being screwed in the back here, and then you just have a little cover for the electronics. This is like a piece of plastic. You actually have all the electronics completely sealed inside here. That's why the case is a little bit bigger. I think that's probably why it's going to weigh a little bit more. But you can see that the hole is centered here on the Predator, but you have 2 different holes here, so it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing depending on your model and how it's set up. The lens looks pretty similar on both of these. I'll give you a side profile as well. So really I think the case is the difference here, and I think also if you look at it from front to back, the front of the lens all the way to the back of the connector, actually the Foxeer is a little bit longer. Okay, and to get a weight of the camera here, we're looking at about 6.63 grams for the FX camera, and then on the Foxeer camera it's going to be a little bit less, 5.9 grams. So what you're actually, I think the extra weight is the extra plastic here for the little bit bigger case, but you also get a little more protection. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug this in and power it up, and we'll look at the settings. I'm actually using the Foxeer cable here, and actually the Foxeer controller, and it's the same pinouts and the same pin pitch, so that connector will work just fine. This controller works fine. I'm just going to turn on my video transmitter, and we'll get an image here and take a look at it. Okay, you got it powered on. You get a little splash screen there, and you can see that we get a little system. The outdoor is showing up here. That's what I have it set to. That's the preset scene. Those go away after it powers on, and then on the on-screen display at the bottom you get your voltage, your pilot name, and then your power on time. And let me just, you're not going to be able to see this through the monitor because the image is kind of, the image looks pretty plain from inside. But once you see the flight demo, you'll find that this looks eerily very similar to the image that the Predator gives off. Same sort of blue casting, and it's actually closer to the way the V1 Predator looks versus the V2, and pretty similar also to the Runcam Sparrow too. So you see that in the flight demo. It's kind of interesting. This is the same sensor size, same TV lines, 1000 TV lines, 4.3 sensor CMOS, and it's not surprising that it kind of looks like the Fox here. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe they're using their sensor or something like that. The software is a little bit different. The font and everything on the menu is the same as on the Predator, but there seems to be more options for making adjustments here. And then if you go to picture adjust, all of these things are the same. So you still have the flipping ability of the Predator. It's also in here. And then these are the default settings for brightness, contrast, sharpness, hue, and color gain. Obviously the ones on the Predator are probably going to be a little different. I just went with the defaults and the outdoor preset. So let's go back. And day, night, set to manual. Shutter is auto, automatic white balance. Digital noise reduction here is this thing called YC mode, Y and C, and I just left it alone. That's the default there. Not a whole lot, not really sure how changing this will make much of a difference, but I'm going to leave everything on defaults for the flight demo. And then backlight is off. So I think a few of these settings aren't in the Predator. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they've added a couple of things here just for this particular camera. We'll go ahead and cancel, or don't save. Okay, so if you want to get rid of the on-screen display, if you have a beta flight SD, just press and hold the up button, and then you get the obviously the menu for changing the settings here. You can change your name, change the alarm value. This is where you can change the scene, so there's outdoor, indoor, and light. I think that's for light tracks. I think these are the same settings that are on the Predator as well, interestingly enough. Here we can turn off the system value, pilot name, power on time, and then the power is going to be the voltage. We'll turn that off as well. Now you can see that there's nothing on the screen now. The screen is completely empty, no OSD is on there, so you can turn it off if you don't want it. Okay, so another question I'm sure you're going to have is the latency. Pretty sure this is about the same as the Predator. Of course, I have no way of actually measuring that. It didn't feel any different to me in terms of being slower or faster than the Predator or any other similar recent CMOS cameras, so I suspect that it's probably the same sensor and just a little tweaking of the firmware to their liking, to their custom settings. So if you guys are concerned about latency, I wouldn't be too concerned, but I'm sure that some other reviewers out there are going to test the latency on their equipment. You guys will find out at some point in the near future. Anyway, so enough of me blabbering on about this camera. I'll go ahead and show you some flight footage. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. If you guys want to compare this footage to some of the other previous FPV cameras I've reviewed, I'll put a card in the corner to the first video of a playlist of a roundup of FPV cameras where there's basically the same footage from the same park and I fly the same flight path. And you guys can open up browsers and windows side by side if you want to compare cameras side by side. So in that first video there's an explanation on how to do that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, click the card in the corner for that explanation on how to do a side by side video.